Chair Allen, I see no hands raised as of yet. I'm muting and you have the floor.
Thank you so much. My name is Michael Allen. I'm board chair for the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board, and we're going to convene our Wednesday, June 18th meeting here in Sacramento, California. The meeting can be conducted by Zoom video conference, and participants or observers can access via Zoom video. We are in open session. The board will accept public comment on any agenda or any other matter under its jurisdiction. All speakers are asked to limit their testimony to approximately 5 minutes on each agenda item or any other matter under its jurisdiction not listed on the agenda. The order of agenda items may be changed to accommodate the board or the public. With that, I'll begin the roll call. I'll begin with me, Michael Allen, Chair, here.
Laura Kent-Monning, here.
Mike Eng, here.
Bob Wojkowski, here.
Richard Roth, here.
Thank you. I would hope all the board members had a chance to review the minutes of our May 21st meeting. So if I could get a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we've adopted our minutes. With the chair report, I'll keep it short. We were able to close 816 cases for the past month. Of those, 764 were done with our CAM system, California Appeals Management System, and 52 were done under our legacy system. Like usual, I just want to commend all levels of the organization for doing a terrific job of working through our caseload. We're making great progress as we work through the end results of the pandemic and the large caseload we had. And also, I'd be remiss in not thanking my board members for being very diligent and working together. And I was pleased to see that we don't have groupthink with the board. There were a few cases where people had to kind of look at it closely because sometimes these cases are not so simple when we go through them. So thank you for all of your goodwill working with your compatriots here to get the cases resolved. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our board members for their reports, and I'll go first to Vice Chair Kent-Monning.
Thank you, Chair Allen. No report this month, just happy to be here with everyone here together and looking forward to hearing from our leadership team with updates, but the numbers look really good, and it's exciting to see us chipping away at those average day processing times, and it's a good reflection of all the hard work being done. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Eng.
Nothing to report. Happy to be here.
Okay. Member Wojkowski.
No report.
And he's happy to be here.
And I'm happy to be here also.
And Member Roth.
No report, Mr. Chair. Thanks for including me.
That's great. So with that, we'll move to public comment. Do we have anyone who would like to address the board?
Morning, Chair and members. Thank you for giving me a couple moments to address you. I'm Pat Whalen here on behalf of CASE. That is the union that represents all of the state's legal professionals, including all of your fine ALJs that work here at CUIAB. We have been inundated over the last month or two from members, our members at CUIAB, greatly concerned about the governor's return to office order set to take place in July. Wanted to kind of relate to you what we're hearing from our members and pose a question to you perhaps at the end. Our members tell us that the vast majority of the hearings that they conduct are done virtually, meaning if they're working from home or if they're working in the office, they're doing their hearings and, talking to people through screens. Based on that, they don't see a material difference between the actual physical location of where they perform their job. We are aware that there are certain percentages.
Hold on 1 second. Do you need a microphone? One of our members is concerned that what you're telling us, it's not recorded, or?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk
We
to
have
you.
a backup mic that catches it.
Is it being
It's a
picked
room
up?
mic.
Okay, all right. We just want to make sure it's on the record and we can hear you.
Appreciate it. I'll try to talk a little louder as well. Our members do tell us that there are a certain percentage of the cases that are in person, whether the appellant still wants to be in person or for whatever reason. And it's further our understanding that the judges are coming in and handling those in person currently, so that when it's necessary for our members to come into the office for whatever reason, in-person hearing or staff meeting or whatever the reason is, but that they're more than willing to do that. They understand that that's part of the job. What they don't understand is kind of this arbitrary nature of everybody has to be in the office 4 days a week when throughout the pandemic and the years since the pandemic, they've proven that the technology exists not only to do their job, but to actually improve access to the appellants who sometimes don't have the ability to take time off work to come to an in-person hearing, right? So for all those reasons, they are concerned about the wisdom of having all of the judges come back 4 days a week. I will tell you that it's not so much, it's public knowledge that a number of other state employers that employ our members still allow full-time telework. DOJ, State Compensation Insurance Fund down the street here, Department of Insurance, there's a number of others. So your employees here are asking the question, why are we being treated differently than other members, other state employees just like us? Here's another little maybe open secret. There are a number of departments out there that we've been meeting and conferring with in anticipation of the July 1 implementation date. They've told us, I'm not going to name names, but many of them have told us, wink, wink, we're not going to make our attorneys and judges come back 4 days a week. It doesn't make sense. They've proven they can be just as productive, and nobody anticipates the governor's office doing random inspections or Cal HR coming and doing audits. They know what works for their department, and so they are going to not impose a mandate on people that's not necessary. And I think they're well within their rights to do that. Let me quote just a little bit from the executive order that's in question. Paragraph 2 of the order talks about how all agencies and departments shall consider their individual operational needs in determining their telework options. And it goes on later in that to talk about how agencies and departments shall make appropriate case-by-case exceptions. And the reason I quote that to you is to make sure you understand as a board, the executive order is sometimes mischaracterized in the media and other reports as, oh, it's a mandate that applies to everybody. No, the executive order within its own verbiage says that departments have discretion to make appropriate case-by-case exceptions. We would urge you to do that. There are already ALJs in various departments, not the ones I mentioned. We have ALJs at ADC, I think at DSS, there might be a few others, where those departments have already decided that the nature of the work that they do is most conducive to full-time telework. So we would urge you, on behalf of all of our 100-odd ALJs here at CUIAB, to consider whether or not it's appropriate to make all your judges come back in the office 4 days a week. There's another interesting factor that applies specifically to CUIAB. Most of your judges, and I think the vast majority of your judges, currently work what are called 4-10-40s, 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. They've been doing that for years. What that means, though, is that if the executive order is expressly applied to our ALJs here, they won't have any telework days. All 4 of their days will be in office, unlike even the most rigid other departments that are imposing the 4 days. At least folks there will get the 5th day of telework.
You're 1 minute over the limit, but go ahead.
Wrap it up. Thank you very much.
No, wrap it up if you need to, and then we'll.
So your ALJs are really feeling like they are the stepchild compared to all of their other colleagues throughout state service. You do have the power to review this and make a determination of what fits your operational needs. And on behalf of all of them, we'd encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Well, I will say this before we move the agenda. At almost all our meetings, we bring up our appreciation for the entire staff, which of course includes the judges. And all I can tell you is that there's been a long history of us working, our management team working with case to resolve issues. And most of the time, I think we've been successful. Sometimes it's been smooth, sometimes it's been rocky, but usually we find a way to come to an accommodation that works for everyone. So I just thank you for your time to come here and inform the board regarding the views of the judges and the bargaining unit, and I appreciate you coming here, and thank you. With that, we'll move the agenda. Any public comment via Zoom, or is that it?
Carolyn, I have no hands raised.
No hands raised. Okay. With that, we'll move to the report of our Chief Executive Officer, Chief Judge ALJ, Michael Kutry, regarding the state of the agency and field workload.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair Allen and board members. I'll start by talking about workload and then some of the individual issues that the field is facing. In May, our daily appeal intake from EDD continued at a steady level. It's been the same about over the past 20 months. This one was a little lower than usual. We've dipped down below 12% of the incoming appeals that we were receiving prior to March of 2020. Our appeals overall dispositions dipped modestly at the same time, but nonetheless, we still reduced our overall inventory by over 4,600 cases. As a result, our case age was further reduced by 4 more days in May. We sit at 38.8 days to close May. Significantly better than the national case average, which is still last reported at 191 days. We continue to narrow the gap from our current case average of just over 38 days to the U.S. Department of Labor required case average of 30. We were last in compliant with that measure in September of 2020. Importantly, as the average age of our cases continues to decline, 30 and 45-day time-lapse measures are starting to improve. In the field, May closed with about 7% of appeals closed within 30 days. And while that's far short of the 60% required, it's still improving month over month. But our biggest improvement was in the 45-day mark, with 34% of cases being closed within the 45-day mark. So as our case age lowers, we continue to expect improvement in those measures as well. I have 2 security incidents to report since the last meeting. Our San Jose office was vandalized. It resulted in property damage by way of broken windows. We're cooperating with CHP and the building's office management to further investigate and to prevent any further incidents. One of our Southern California judges was threatened in the last month between the meetings. This is a party known to CUIAB from past incidents. I'm happy to report that CHP became directly involved immediately. They've been a valuable partner with prompt intervention, and that case is still under investigation. I'd like to end my report on a couple of high notes. We have 2 judges in the agency who've reached significant milestones. Judge Erica Diaz from the Inland Office will be leaving CUIAB at the end of this month to start a new position as a commissioner for the Superior Court of Los Angeles. So we congratulate her. And perhaps one of the biggest developments at CUIAB in my time here, our Assistant Chief Hugh Harrison is retiring. Judge Harrison joined CUIAB in September 1982. He became a presiding judge in 1987 and has been our assistant chief over all of field operations since 1999. It has been a remarkable tenure that has touched every facet of the agency. 43 years of service to CUIAB would be remarkable enough on its own, but that doesn't really explain Hugh's reach and benefit to the agency. I've spent a lot of time with other states and partners at DOL, and I can confidently say that his expertise in federal and state benefit programs is unmatched, not just in California, but nationally. It's easy for us in field operations to take for granted the benefits we've received from Hugh's work, but when you remind yourself of the volumes of reference materials he's created that touch everything we do every day and the thousands and thousands of hearings we do every year, it's unmistakable, his fingerprints on the agency. Behind the scenes, to most of us, he has been responsible for our relationship with U.S. Department of Labor, all of our reporting, all of our compliance, all of the quality review evaluations. He holds the current record of attendees at the Washington Quality Review Conference, and I don't think it's even close. He has been the primary architect of our case management system since 1999. So everything that field and appellate operations has used, he has helped develop. He created CATS, which some of you used. And then at the end of his career, instead of bowing out gracefully, he took on the CAMS project, which was a painstaking operation from inception to completion, and he was our project owner, which basically meant that the buck stopped with him. So every process that the field operations utilizes and most that the agency utilizes have been guided by his vast experience and expertise. We're very fortunate that he's willing to come back and work as a retired annuitant, so we continue to offload all of the information that we can. What I've said does not really begin to scratch the surface of his legacy at CUIAB, but that will be reflected upon and celebrated in the coming month in various celebrations across the state. So in the meantime, I wanted to extend my deepest appreciation to him for all he has done for the state, for CUIAB, and for all of the people that we serve. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you for your report. And it would be my hope that you would find some way to continue working with us in the future. As you know, from my own record, I'm not a great believer in retirement. I think it's good that we've had many discussions, you and I, regarding institutional memory for organizations and how important and vital they are for continuity. At some levels of government, I wish that was more honored in terms of that aspect of valuing people's service. So we certainly wish him well, and we believe that hopefully he'll be able to continue working with us. And it's wonderful to hear about some of our judges moving on to new posts, new jobs. And so with that, I'll turn it over to my vice chair and then the other members for their comments or questions.
Thank you, Chair Allen. I have one quick question and one comment. The question, was our LA office or any offices closed or impacted by protests going on since the last board meeting?
Yes, I'm sorry to have omitted that. I do have that in my notes.
Oh, okay.
The Los Angeles office was closed last week.
Okay.
We moved all of our employees to other locations who could not telework, and so we had no loss in operational capacity.
Okay.
We reopened with full staffing this week.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to briefly share my own experience. I feel fortunate that I got to sit in on a training that Hugh Harrison ran in LA, where, if I remember correctly, the board members had already been using CAMs for some months, but I got to sit in on a training for the FO ALJs in the LA Office of Appeal. And the way that Hugh Harrison taught the CAMS interface was, not just this is what this does for this. It was reflecting on decades past of how things used to work, and then you would have this deep understanding of how much better things are now. But his institutional knowledge was just incredible, and that was only from a one-time session that I got to sit in on. So just from that glimpse into his magic, I can imagine what a loss it will be. But I'm glad that he's hanging around to make sure that we can kind of piece together that institutional knowledge, and I congratulate him on his retirement. So thank you.
Member Ng?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also wanted to thank Chief Kutry for your support and inquiries to the LA field office that underwent some challenges logistically. I believe that Chief Harrison, Judge Harrison,
Assistant Chief.
also helped us and me personally to manage the great deal of information and requirements for COVID. And so the materials and the training session that I recall, if I'm calling correct, were extremely helpful. Hopefully there will be a time when we can personally acknowledge his public service.
There will. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll join in the chorus of congratulations to Assistant Chief Harrison and all the 43 years that he did. It's really a milestone to be in an agency and then to get the background of how he's been here since '82, developing the programs that we use every day and helping with the efficiencies. So congratulations to him and his family. I do have a question. I'm on page 3 of the field office reports. This last month in the tax rulings, we had 500 new cases, which is almost half of what we normally get in a year in the last 3 years. And I was wondering what caused that. It seemed like a high number for new tax cases.
It is a high number. Before now, I had not recognized that particularly nice round number, but I'll look in to see what happened there, whether that was a result of some deferred work that came over from EDD, or whether there's another explanation for it, and I'll report back to you.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about taxes, so I just wondered maybe it's just a juggernaut that's happening at the field level.
Still a modest amount overall, but I see that it is a pretty tremendous increase at one time.
That's my only question.
My guess is it is a deferral because I remember back during the when we had the pandemic, and then even before then with the Great Recession, we did a lot of cases that had to wait until we did tax later on. So I'm not surprised that now we're getting a big amount coming in. It was like that a few years ago.
Sure. I'll find out later.
Yeah, we'll find out for you exactly. Remember, Rod?
Just to congratulate our retiree and Chief, just to let you know, I continue to be amazed and extraordinarily impressed with the quality of you and your team. So thanks to all of them.
Okay. I say amen to that. I agree. So let's move on to the next report that we have from our supervising administrative law judge for appellate operations, Rebecca Bach. So, Rebecca, take it away.
Great, thank you, and good morning. And obviously, I send out my best congratulations to Assistant Chief Hugh Harrison. He's been really helpful to me through my career here, and so I'm going to miss him. But anyways, as for the numbers, for the higher authority second level, we are to meet Department of Labor guidelines. We are to close 50% of our cases in 45 days. And for the month of May, we closed 48.7% within 45 days, bringing our year, it's only been a couple of months, but our year-to-date total to 62.1. So that is strong. And we are to close 80% of our cases within 75 days. In May, we closed 93.2% of our cases within 75 days, bringing that year-to-total date to 93.1. The other number that Department of Labor tracks is our case aging. And to meet Department of Labor guidelines, it's 40 days or less. We are at 26.6, well under that requirement. So overall, we've had a very strong start to this new Department of Labor year. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, I'll ask for one.
Okay.
Tell us about your trip to Kansas City for the conference, okay?
Well, I had a really great time. I met so many people from all over the country. And I had, not only did I have some fun, but it was very collaborative, informative. We shared some best practice ideas. I'm taking back some points to discuss with the exec and with the SALJs, and I would say overall a huge success.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to our vice chair.
Thank you. No questions, but thank you for going and representing our agency in Kansas City at the conference.
My pleasure.
Member Ring.
No question, but thank you, Judge Bach, for instantly responding to the day-by-day issues, but also addressing the systemic long-term issues that we have raised. Thank you.
Member Wojtkowski.
I have no questions.
Member Roth.
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Rebecca, I would echo what some of the comments. Very recently, I had some issues that needed to be addressed, and you were so fast getting back to me and working through them, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you. With that, we'll have the report from our Chief Information Officer. So take it away.
Thank you, and good morning, board members. Short report. We are on schedule for our next CAMS implementation to be completed by the next board meeting, and this includes the appellate operations from the current legacy systems to the CAMS. So again, and also thanking Assistant Chief Hugh Harrison for his work on this, and so short report there.
Thank you.
Happy to take any questions.
Okay. I have no questions. Vice Chair?
Just, this might be obvious, but I take that to mean that we will eventually no longer have legacy cases that we're doing, that they will all be put into CAMS. Is that correct?
I believe that's the
The plan? Okay. You're nodding.
That's
okay.
the plan.
July 1?
By the next board
By
meeting.
the next board meeting, mid-July, teens of July. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Given there's IT, we understand it's the plan. Member Ring.
No questions. Thank you for your work.
Member Wojtkowski.
That's remarkable, the transfer of all the cases from legacy. There should be a ceremony, Mr. Chair, that we say legacy is over, finally.
Member Roth.
No questions. Thank you.
Well, we've come a long way from the legacy system to CAMS. When I first came here, I remember all the bins that we had for paper, because paper was the way everything was done. And we've come a long way in the last few years. So we'll never have a paperless office. I don't believe that, but we're getting better. So, so with that, I'll turn it over to Robert Silva, our Chief Administrative Services, for an update on your branch and what's going on. So fill us in.
Thank you. Good morning. I will begin with a really quick recruitment update. We did, Judge Bach welcomed a new staff member to appellate operations a couple of weeks ago, and we have a new employee slated to start in our inland office on July 1st. Overall, support staff recruitment is currently fairly quiet. We only have 10 recruitments pending statewide. Of the 10, half are for our Bay Area Office of Appeals. For a myriad of reasons, our Bay Area office really hasn't had the recruitment success nor retention success that our other offices have had. So they're kind of constantly grinding to hire support staff in the Bay. I reported at April's board meeting that we were engaged in a request for quote process to secure department-wide CPR training for our offices. A couple of weeks ago, we executed the new contract with the vendor. With all of the contract funding set to begin in the 25-26 fiscal year, we'll start offering the training dates in early July for our offices. For our 10 field offices, the agreement allows training for up to 15 employees at each site. So for smaller offices, that's almost everyone in the office. And for our larger offices, it's about 70% of the staff reporting to the office. Here at headquarters, if interest is in excess of 15 people, we've structured the contract to offer two separate 15-person trainings for this building. Every February, all departments submit an out-of-state travel call letter for the governor's office to consider for approval as a blanket travel request. We typically request one mission-critical trip to send a representative to DC for the Department of Labor's quality review, which Hugh Harrison has attended many times, as Chief Kutry alluded. And the other is a discretionary trip to attend the CUIAB conference, which you just returned from. On June 9th, Department of Finance issued a budget letter stating that the governor's office will not be approving travel blanket requests, and that at this time we're to submit all requests as individual requests directly to the governor's office. We received the anticipated confirmation this morning that our travel blanket call letter we submitted back in February has essentially been scrapped, and that also discretionary trips will not be considered next fiscal year. U.S. Department of Labor has been emphatic that we continue to attend the CUIAB conference, so we will most likely put together an individual travel request in late 25-26 for a trip to CUIAB once the agenda and location are announced, and hopefully we can try to get that what has been posed as a discretionary trip through to the governor's office so that we can continue to attend that conference next fiscal year. 3 days ago, annual performance appraisals were due for all CUIAB employees. There are a number of them currently still incomplete, so I've been working with local management to kind of clean those up and get them completed. On July 15th, employees will be provided with the opportunity to complete individual development plans. And they can submit them to their supervisor for review, discussion, and any further action needed. And lastly, as we've already discussed, in 13 days, the administration's return to office order takes effect. So we have been collecting new telework agreements from all the impacted employees. There are a few that have yet to be submitted, but I'm working closely to get those submitted. After reviewing all of the new agreements that have come in and assessing our site space, I don't anticipate any space issues or equipment issues arising from the return to work as of July 1st for CUIAB. That is my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rob. I have no questions. I'll turn it to our vice chair.
Thank you. No questions.
Questions for me? Thank you.
No questions.
Well, we let you off easy this month,
Okay.
but don't relax, okay? We'll make sure that we have questions for you next next month. With that, I would ask our chief counsel, our counsel for the board, do we have any closed items?
Thank you, Chair Allen. We do not today.
No. Well, one thing I'd be remiss is that we know it's premature, but we have heard that Member Roth represented us well before the Senate committee, and I heard that went very positively. And I would like to comment for all of us who go through that process. It's a real opportunity for the legislative branch to understand better what the agencies do. And so it's a really valuable part of the process. And we will not jinx you by prematurely congratulating you, but we feel very positively disposed toward your progress and are so pleased that it went so well. Any comments, Member Broth?
Well, just, Mr. Chair, I have to say that the staff did an amazing job of preparing someone who probably wouldn't have been as well prepared without their extraordinary work. And it gave me a lot of confidence going before my friends on that Rules Committee. Because as you know, having been on that committee before, they have a robust staff who prepare them, and they can sometimes ask some very challenging questions. And they were interested in our workload, because obviously there have been some questions about workloads at other boards and commissions in the state. And thanks to the preparation, Chief Kutry and Becky and the rest provided me the data that they provided me. I was able to answer those questions and demonstrate to them the amazing job that each of you and all of the ALJs and the appellate operations and in our field offices and the staff do each and every day to process a portion of those 2 million plus claims that EDD receives every year. So it was a good opportunity to talk about all of you and the great work that you do, all of you. And it was a good time. So we'll see what they do on the Senate floor. Step one, there's a step two to the process. So keep your fingers crossed. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good enough. So with that, I want to thank all the participants and our guests who spoke today, and we'll call this meeting adjourned as of now. Done.